heard Jerry talking about, hoping to, or sort of intimating that he would hope that some of their relationships and things they've gone through over the years, that might earn them a little bit of a discount. I don't know how much that'll be at play here. What I think is happening for the Cowboys is, we've talked about DeMarcus Lawrence's cap number, and it's $27 million heading into 2022. There are some cap savings that can be had if you release him or if you restructure him. I think, just from talking to some people, that this decision for them, they're looking at it as more of a choice, like which direction do they want to go. So I think they're looking at it as, do we want to re-sign Randy Gregory, or do we want to, restructure DeMarcus Lawrence? I don't think that they're going to roll into next season necessarily with both guys. I think they view this as they got to pick one. And so I think whichever direction they choose to go there, if it's pursuing Randy, then I think that doesn't bode well for DeMarcus Lawrence being on the team here in 2022. And, just talking to some people right now, I think they're leaning more towards trying to keep Randy Gregory than DeMarcus Lawrence.
Okay, now I got a couple follow-ups here for you, Bobby.
Does
this mean, if they remove one of those two, that puts Micah on the edge?
I think he ends up getting used on the edge about as much as he was this past year. Maybe a little bit more. I mean, it depends on who else they're able to bring back. They really like Chauncey Golston, who's the rookie pick, and he's got 3 more years here under contract. Dorrance Armstrong's out of contract, though. And we saw that when they were missing Lawrence or Randy or other guys, that they would play Micah there full time. So I think by the end of next year, we're looking at it, and it's obviously very early. We haven't seen the draft, free agency. We don't know exactly how Dan Quinn's going to use the personnel next year. But my inclination would be that I think by the end of next year, we're looking at about the same amount of snaps taken at edge.
Bobby Bell with us here on the Diamond Factory Hotline, our Cowboys insider. So if, let's say that they're making this decision between Tank and Randy Gregory, and they were to part with Tank for salary cap reasons, do you have any idea if that impacts their decision on Amari Cooper, or are they not one and the same at all?
I would, if you made me place a bet now, which I can't as an NFL Network employee, they don't let me bet, but if I were allowed to, I would say, and I think that a lot of people on the periphery of these decisions, so people in the organization but not quite up to Jerry and Steven, and people in both camps for Amari and DeMarcus Lawrence, I think both of those guys are likely to be gone at this moment. And so I think Cooper and Lawrence both, I don't know that we're looking at June 1s for them or restructures. I think the betting favorite right now would be straight releases for both guys, and that would be $16 million freed up from Cooper and $8 million freed up from DeMarcus Lawrence.
And does that mean that they have to, at that point, re-sign Gallup and Cedric Wilson?
I think that would be how they would approach it, because I think, and I said this on G-Bag this week, I think that the $16 million they think they could save with Cooper, I think the cap number for 2022 for Gallup, Wilson, and Malik Turner, I think they believe they could fit inside that $16 million in savings. And so I think they view it as, okay, do we want these 3 or this 1?
Is that, do you think that's wise?
No, I think Amari Cooper kind of makes the offense go. When he's not involved, or when he's missed games, or before he got here, the offense was stagnant. I mean, if you want to know, okay, how does the offense look with CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup as the main options? Let's look at the first half against Kansas City, and it didn't go well. It looked really tough. And I know Kansas City and their game plan, just talking to some people over there that week, they felt a huge sense of relief knowing Amari Cooper was going to be out. They felt that they could, scheme up and handle things pretty well with Lamb and Gallup. And so I think those are really good receivers, and I like what Cedric Wilson can do. I like the potential of Malik Turner, but I don't think anybody else on this roster comes to Amari's level as a receiver. And so I don't think that's the best idea here, but I think this is ultimately where we may be heading.
I'll tell you, because if you put some safeties back there and you kind of give up, get a little over the top help, a lot of what Gallup does is go deep. That kind of limits him.
Yeah, and I think that, like, I know Kansas City's thought when they played was roll a little bit of safety help to CD, and they thought they could just lock up Gallup with press coverage. And so I wonder if that's how other teams would view it, if they just view it as put some safety help up there, and the two shells, you get one over top of CD, you get one over top of Michael Gallup, or if it would just be a case where, maybe some teams think that they could, just stylistically take Gallup out of the game with some press coverage or things like that. But I think it makes it incredibly difficult for you to run the offense the way you want to without Amari Cooper. But I think that they're just in a bit of a bind here financially on the books, and these are definitely two of the easier ways to free up money. I just don't know that it's the wisest way to free up money.
Good question from the 520 on the truckcorrect.com fan text. Why couldn't you trade Amari Cooper? Does that not work out the same in terms of the cap savings, and at least you try and get something back in return for him?
It does, and it's the same savings whether you release him or trade him, and so it's something that they could explore. I think that generally the reason why those things don't happen is because teams know, which they know which guys you're going to move on from, and they'll just play the waiting game for you. It's harder to get draft pick compensation in these sorts of situations, I think. But Cooper is a guy that I think still has value like that. And so, I think Coop developed a bit of a reputation as when he's disinterested, then he's not going to be very engaged, and he's not going to put up numbers. So I think that was a reputation in, Oakland when he was with the Raiders. And that when he came here, there was interest, and all of a sudden, he was playing his tail off. And so I think that there's a little bit of a perception around the league that I don't know that you'd want to have to trade for him to ensure he gets to you. It'd just be one of those things that once you get to free agency, you'd rather let him pick which destination he wants to go to. But, it's definitely, he's a possibility to trade just because of, I think he is worth his cap figure. The Cowboys are just in a bind right now, and I think they view it as easy money to free up. But in terms of his value, yeah, you absolutely could explore those options. They would just have to get it going pretty quick because his 2022 salary fully guarantees on March 20th. And so they're going to have to make a call on that in the next 6 weeks.